Hey guys, today is the first Bard build of the 2024 PHP or D&D 5.5. Now, this Bard is a real debuffing powerhouse and I love how it plays. Now, I personally really like building Bards. They can lean so far on the scale of debuffing to damage to support that they can do so many different things. Today's build goes really hard into debuffing and it does it really well with using the new Glamour Bard subclass from the new Player's Handbook. So without further ado, let's get into it. Everything from this build is going to be from the 2024 Player's Handbook. Now, one of the oddest things and one of the strictest thing in the Player's Handbook for a build is our background. Now, for this background, we really need Charisma and then we really want a good starting feat. The two options that I picked for our background that worked for this build is Wayfarer and Merchant. Now, both Merchant and Wayfarer give us the lucky feat, and this is really good. Now, the choice between the two is really whether we value Constitution, which Merchant gives us, or Dexterity, which Wayfarer gives us. I think I'm going to prioritize Constitution and go for Merchant because this is a pretty squishy Bard, so I just want to buffer that up a little bit. Now, the reason these are the two choices for me is that the lucky feat is great. Now, the reason I love lucky for this build is it gives us a lot of defense because we can give disadvantage on incoming attacks, and also it gives us a lot of utility inside of combat where we can give ourselves advantage on saving throws or initiative and these kind of things that aren't necessarily attack rolls, but they do impact the battle a lot. Initiative is such a big thing for a debuffing character. Having advantage on initiative like that is super important, and I really wanted to take the alert feat here to get that bonus to initiative, but there wasn't a lineup in the backgrounds of the alert feat and charisma, so we didn't have a connection there. But that is exactly why our species is going to be human. Human does a lot of things for us, but the main one is it allows us to pick up an additional origin feat, and for this we are going to do alert. Now, alert is a lot better in my opinion than it was before. It gives us a bonus to our initiative, but more importantly, it lets us switch initiative order with another willing character. So let's say that our support rolls really high on initiative, we can now swap initiative orders with them. They go near the back where their support isn't really needed all that first turn, but we get to have our debuffs right at the start of combat, which is super powerful. And as for the stats of this build, we are going to go Charisma primary, we're going to go Constitution secondary, Dexterity tertiary, and then anything we have left over, we're going to go into Wisdom, with Strength and Intelligence being our dump stats. Now, at level 1 in Bard, not much has changed. We get Bardic Inspiration, it's basically the same as it was, and we also get Spellcasting. Now, for Bard's Spellcasting, not a ton has changed, but a little bit. Primarily, one of the things that's changed is Bard's cantrips. Now they have a new cantrip called Starry Wisp. Starry Wisp, I like to call Guiding Bolt Jr. It's basically just a little bit of damage and they shed some bright light, prevents invisibility. Not quite as good as actual Guiding Bolt, but it's a cantrip, so it's pretty good. This gives Bards a lot more range and it gives them a pretty good damaging cantrip. It's just a solid buff to the Bard because we don't lose anything in exchange for this. As for the first level spells that we get, the two that I really want to stress that are going to be really important for us for the entirety of this build are Dissonant Whispers and Command. Now, both of these are first level spells, but we will use them throughout the entirety of this build. That's how good these spells are for this build. Now, this is where we start off in our debuffing journey. Other spells I'm looking at here are Tasha's Hideous Laughter because it gives us a similar effect of just this great debuff. Also, Bane, Charm Person, and Silent Image are just great for situationally in combat. Now, at this first level, we're playing like a normal Bard. We're staying in the back, staying away from our enemies, launching these debuffs from a range, and then we're using our Bardic Inspiration as our bonus action to help out our allies. So at second level, we get Expertise and we get Jack of all trades. Now, one thing that Jack of all trades is usually great for is that it gives us a bonus to our initiative. Now, we already have that from Alert, which this one gives us full proficiency instead of just the Jack of all trades half proficiency, and it also lets us do the swap. So this is a little bit of an overlap, but I really like Alert on this build, so I think I would keep it. But Jack of all trades makes us a great skill monkey, and Expertise doubles down on this, giving us Expertise. I would probably focus on some of these charisma skills to make us just a great face outside of combat. Now, level 3 is where this build kicks off, and that is because we get to pick up the College of Glamour. Now, the College of Glamour gives us two abilities, one of which is the same as 5e and one of them is updated in 5.5. Now, the first of these that's the same as 5e is the Mantle of Inspiration. This is a great support feature. It's really awesome to allow your allies to scatter, to disengage, and to give some temp HP. Really just an awesome feature. If you'd like to support the channel, please make sure you're subscribed. About 75% of our viewers aren't subscribed, and that would help out a ton if you were able to go down there, check and see if you're subscribed, maybe leave a like or a comment in the video. Anything like that helps out the channel a ton. We are, however, not a support, so we will use this as a utility option, but I don't think it's going to be part of our main build style. We're going to be using our Bardic Inspiration in a different way, which gives us our second feature, which is different from 5e. In 5e, we had the Enthralling Performance, which allows you to kind of enthrall your audience and make them do what you want, almost like a suggestion. Now we get Beguiling Magic. Now, what Beguiling Magic does is whenever we expend a spell slot to cast an enchantment or illusion spell, we can target a creature within 60 feet of us, force them to make a saving throw against the frightened or charmed condition. Now, this feature is great. It does use up our uses of Bardic Inspiration after we go through our 1 free use per day. However, this is a great feature for our action economy. Now, on our turn at level 3, we can use our action to cast Command, or Dissonant Whispers, or Tasha's Hideous Laughter, or any of these types of spells that are enchantment or illusion. Save or fail that saving throw, we can immediately use a Bardic Inspiration to target another creature. So if we upcast Command, we can now get 3 creatures all in one go. And doing this all in one turn is actually really good action economy. And that's what the crux of this build is using this action economy to create a massive debuff for all of our enemies. And because Dissonant Whispers, Command, all of these main spells we're using are enchantment spells specifically, we're going to be proccing this feature a lot. So in a lot of these scenarios, we can consistently use these spells and consistently get great action economy by launching them off. For second level spells that are going to proc this that I think are great are Suggestion, Mirror Image, and Phantasmal Force. These double down on what we're already doing. I really like Mirror Image specifically as a defensive option because we aren't the best at defense. So Mirror Image gives us a lot of defensive while we are still able to keep up that great action economy because it also procs our Charmed and Frightened from Beguiling Magic. Now, one of my favorite things on this build is actually our 4th level ASI, where we are going to pick up the Warcaster feat. Now, normally Warcaster isn't the best pickup on Bard, as we don't want to be up close and personal. We don't want to do these things that are going to put us in danger. But I really like Warcaster on this build because of the action economy it gives us. Now, the reason I love Warcaster on this build is it allows us to cast these enchantment spells, proccing our Beguiling Magic, as a reaction when creatures provoke opportunity attacks from us. So now on a turn, if we're able to cast Command and get a target to run away, we can stand next to them on our turn, we can Beguiling Magic a different creature, then when we're standing next to them, on their turn they run away, provoking an opportunity attack. We then get to cast another spell, like either another Command or Dissonant Whispers or Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and then we get to do another Beguiling Magic on another creature. So we can essentially cast 4 single target debuffs that do a ton, and it allows us to target a wide array of our enemies on the field at once, not in an AoE. This allows us to really pick apart our enemies no matter their positioning. It's really great for us, and Warcaster expands our action economy a lot, even if it is a little niche. It still is a great pickup, even if it's for the concentration saves alone. Now at 5th level, we're picking up some great AoE spells, like Hypnotic Pattern and Fear. These are great for just start of the fight. If everyone's clumped up, we can use this great. The strategy we've talked about previously would be every turn after that first turn, or if enemies aren't clumped up and we have to be a little bit more picky with how we're doing stuff when AoE doesn't work. At level 6, we pick up another great feature for the College of Glamour, which is the Mantle of Majesty. Now, the Mantle of Majesty is written almost the exact same as it is in 5e. We turn this feature on, it requires concentration, and every turn we get to cast Command with one of our bonus actions. And now each creature that has that, if they are charmed by us, they automatically fail the saving throw on Command. Now, this feature in 5e was good. Now in 5.5, it is great, and that is because of the change in the spellcasting rules. In 5e, if you cast a spell as your bonus action, you could not cast a leveled spell with your action. Now in 5.5, you can only expend 1 spell slot per turn to cast a spell. So this bonus action cast of Command does not require a spell slot. So therefore we can cast a normal spell with our action expending a spell slot. We then also proc our Beguiling Magic to attempt to charm another creature. The creature that failed the saving throw on our charm effect, we can then use our bonus action to do Mantle of Majesty, allowing us to cast a command that they cannot save against and command them. And every turn after that, we can cast Command as a bonus action and do this basically every turn. Now, the biggest drawback of this feature is that it requires concentration. However, The reason that Dissonant Whispers and Command are our two really signature spells, these are enchantment spells that proc our Beguiling Magic, and they are good spells even when upcast or cast at first level, and they don't require concentration, so we can keep doing our Mantle of Majesty every turn. We can really effectively shut down a big boss monster just because of how many times in one turn we could potentially command them, charm them, frighten them. So many effects are going on here with such a great action economy that we can really pin down one person or a crowd of people and just shut them down for an entire fight turn after turn, especially with our amazing initiative. Even when we get to high levels and something has multiple legendary resistances, we can cast like 4 effects at them in one turn, potentially burning all of their legendary resistances in one go, which is incredible. And the best part about this build is we still have these great AoE options like Hypnotic Pattern and Fear in our back pocket that we can use instead of this. If we start off a fight and the AoE options are just that much better, we just go for it right off the first turn and the fight's basically over. And if it's not over, if a lot of them save or if the AoE isn't a great option, we have this amazing strategy as our backup option that has incredible action economy. Now, I will say that the biggest weakness of this build is once we start running into creatures that are immune to the Charmed and Frightened conditions. We have some things that we can do to get around this, but those are the main things that are going to come up in this build. This build indexes so heavily on Charmed and Frightened that once creatures begin to be immune to that, we have to be a lot more creative in how we're getting around those. So once we see the new 2024 Monster Manual, this build may not be quite as good depending on how many creatures are immune to those effects. I assume it's going to be less than in 5e, which would be amazing for this build. I really love this build. I really love how all the pieces come together in this new D&D 5.5 format. If you have ideas on what you would do differently or what this build could do better, especially with multi-classing or different things like that, please leave a comment. We really appreciate it. And with that, we'll catch you on the next one.